Welcome to Security Nation, the podcast that connects everyone in the electronic security and life safety industry. We bring on security pros to discuss the latest industry happenings, new technology, best practices, and work together with our peers to be the ever-present voice in an ever-changing industry. Today we have Kirk McDowell, President at MacGuard Security Advisors Incorporated and Chairman of ESA's Leadership Identification and Nominating Committee, along with our Integrator Director candidates for this year's election. So, Kirk, thank you so much for joining. Would you be able to tell us a little bit why we're joined here today for this podcast?
Yeah, thanks, Diana. And thanks for setting us up. And welcome to the candidates. So every year, ESA has an election. We go odd and even years, so the board is always changing. And I am privileged to be chairman of the LINC committee, that's Leadership Identification Nominating Committee. I'll tell you about the members of that in just a few minutes. And we work tirelessly, or they work tirelessly. I just kind of sit back and watch them work to come up with great nominees for our board of directors, both from an associate member and an integrator member. And we're interviewing integrator members today.
Excellent, excellent. So as LINC's chairman, maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit about the details about this particular election, how it is contested, and what that means for ESA members.
Yeah. And usually contested is a negative term. To me, this is not negative. We have 3 positions open and we have 6 candidates running. Those candidates, and I'm going to name them, some are on our call today and others we're going to interview later. Jeremy Bates is an incumbent from Pi Barker. Jeremy's not on the call today. Melissa Brinkman is an incumbent. She is on the call today from Custom Alarm. We have Brandon Armstrong Jr. He's an incumbent from Trinity Wiring and Cable Solutions and Security Solutions. He is not on the call today. And then we have Ken Coker. Ken is a candidate with Force Security Protections. Hi, Ken. And we have Peter Goldring, a candidate from Goldring Protection. And we have Josh Dice, a candidate from Security Alarm Corporation. So welcome to all of our members. And you're all qualified to run. So we're very excited to hear from you all today.
Awesome. Before we jump into each of our candidates speaking, because we're a little tight on time, getting everyone's schedules aligned and everything, Kirk, would you first be able to give us some important dates for ESA members to mark on their calendars for this particular election? And then also maybe can you explain a little bit the role of Integrator Director on ESA's board of directors?
Yeah, happy to do so. So the LINC committee has worked really, really hard to align and make sure that all the candidates are qualified to run. And we've done a lot of pre-work. So I'm only going to give you 2 dates that you need to remember because LINC has taken care of the rest of the dates. The first is May 12th. On May 12th, 2025, the electronic ballots are distributed, and they're distributed to the primary and alternate members, voting members of ESA, Electronic Security Association. Those are due back June 6th at 2 p.m. Central Time. So June 6th is when they're due back into ESA, of which the votes are tabulated. The following week, I contact the elected and the people that were not elected, and then we swear them in at ESX, which I'm sure everyone's going to be going to. The role of a director at ESA is a very important role. It supersedes what you do at your own company. As a matter of fact, there are times where board of directors need to take in a position that may be detriment to their own company, but for the betterment of the industry. So what LINC committee does is we pre-interview all of the candidates and let them know that they may be in a situation at some point where they may be where they would have to represent the interest of all the members of the association rather than their own personal interests. The board meets 11 to 12 times a year, 2 times in person, and the rest via Zoom. And then at the direction of the chairman, each one of us, I'm on the board of directors today. I'm not elected. I'm what they call a competency director, so there's no conflict of interest here today. And the chairman may elect to have us participate in other committees. For instance, I'm chairman of Link Committee, and there are other people that are on the finance committee or membership committee or bylaws committee. So that's what the board of directors does for our association.
Excellent. Thanks for clarifying all those details today, Kirk. I think we're ready now to jump into you asking some of those interview questions to our candidates so that our listeners and voting representatives in our association can learn a little bit more about these nominees.
Yeah, you bet. Before I do that, I just want to thank the nominating committee, which is made up of Kelly Bond, Joe Colosimo, Mark Hillenberg, Tracy Larson, Stu Forsheimer, and then, of course, ESX Chairman Kevin Stone, who've done a whole lot of work behind the scenes. So thank you. Candidates, welcome. I kind of feel like I'm like NBC News doing this, but we're all among friends. We're all colleagues. Each one of these people, each one here, I'd be honored to serve with. I know them personally. They've all passed the vetting test, and here we go. I'm going to start first, and I'm going to go a little bit out of order, but I'm going to start first with the with the incumbents on the phone or on the video today, and that's Melissa Rickman from Custom Alarm. So, Melissa, I've known you for a long, long time, and I know the answers to these questions, but I'm going to ask them anyway for the betterment of the industry. So I'm going to ask you two questions, and each one I'd like you to keep to under 3 minutes. The first one is, tell our listeners about your background in our wonderful industry.
Thank you, Kirk. Yes, appreciate the opportunity to be here today and share a little bit about myself and why I'm involved in ESA. So as far as personally, I have been involved in the security industry officially for a little over 25 years. However, my dad did start Custom Alarm back in 1968. So I was indirectly involved for a number of years before I officially became involved and moved through a lot of different positions here as I was getting to know different areas of the business. So from sales to business development to operations, and then became CEO about 11 years ago. So I've been very involved here at Custom Alarm in all different facets, and then very involved in our community as well as in the Electronic Security Association, big advocate of all the work that this association is doing. So I'm excited to be here and see what I can do to continue to help make a difference.
You're on the board of directors now, but what I'd like you to do, Melissa, is talk a little bit about what you plan to bring to the table in 2025, 2026, moving forward, if you're reelected to ESA board of directors.
Yes, one of the things I think I bring is just the fact, big advocate for ESA and just the association itself. So really focusing on help getting more businesses involved, more security companies, regardless of their size, to really have the benefit from a training standpoint, from a networking standpoint, just from best practices. There's so much that I've learned and been able to apply to my business and share with other people within my organization that have come from attending different events like ESX or just in general, being able to have access to the different training resources. Additionally, I'd say I bring advocacy. I've been getting more involved in different things that impact my business here in the state of Minnesota, as well as federally. And so I've been involved in different things and really trying to do what I can to help make a change, like you said, with whether it's the negative option or other things that there are happening, and then also supporting the ASAP to PSAP. So just, again, having a voice for a smaller size business. We're 75 employees and really have a voice from a different perspective here in Minnesota and what we can do to help keep growing ESA and making a difference in the security industry.
Melissa, thanks very, very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to go across, as I'm looking at you, to Peter Goldring. So, Peter, welcome and congratulations on running for office. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Kirk. So my family got their start in the security space in 1923, a central station alarm business in metropolitan New York City. I've spent 40 of my 53 years in, I like to say, pretty much every role. I was a helper, an installer, a service tech, a runner, an operator, did customer service, worked in the accounting department, um, and ended up building that business, building up our national account presence. And I had the privilege to sell the company to Homes Protection in 1995. And I got to work for one of the greatest management teams that's ever existed in our industry in senior management for a bunch of years until that company was sold to ADT. I was one of a handful of executives from Homes to remain at ADT for uh, not the longest period of time, but I did spend some time there doing acquisitions and helping to fold in some of the larger companies that ADT acquired. When I left ADT, I joined Larrabee Ventures, one of the original boutique investment bankers in the space. And I worked with Bill Larrabee, another veteran in the industry, a great learning experience. And we completed dozens and dozens of acquisitions together and worked in crisis C-level engagements for companies that were having stressful situations and worked out situations for a number of banks. Um, Throughout my career, I've worked in small, middle market, and national companies at every level. Currently, I have an installing business called Gold Ring Protection that caters to the wealthiest individuals in the world, residences throughout the world, and high risk retail, including a specialty in the jewelry market nationwide. Um, so I can certainly relate to everybody from solo practitioners on up to C-level executives alike. I hold 11 state licenses. I'm in 17 trade associations. I'm NICE at 4 in fire alarms. I've also helped NICE write test questions for the NICE program. I'm on 2 NFPA technical subcommittees, one in burglar, one in fire alarms. I'm an instructor in New York, New Jersey, and Florida. I'm also a volunteer firefighter, EMT engineer, and an instructor in the fire service. And most recently, I was elected a fire commissioner and a trustee for the New Jersey State Association of Fire Districts in New Jersey. And I'm very active in education and training for the fire service.
Yeah, accomplished. Thanks, Peter. So if you were elected to the board of directors, what would you bring to the table?
Well, as I stand here with my fake background, or sit here with my fake background at the New Jersey ELSA symposium, getting some CEU units, getting some training, um, I can tell you if I walked down the hallway and asked anybody here, any of the hundreds of companies from the Jersey region, uh, what's your biggest problem? And I think if I asked anybody that's on this call today, the biggest problem in our industry is the lack of talent, the lack of new talent, the lack of replacing people that go away. We're in a crisis. We're in a tailspin. And if we don't take some very serious steps to get people involved, get vocational training out there, um, think about this from new perspectives, and get boots on the street, we're not going to be in industry for much longer. So I'm a tremendous advocate for education. Just as I said in the fire service, it's a big problem in the volunteer fire service. It's the exact same problem in this industry and in dozens of other industries. So to me, of all these associations I've been involved with, ESA is at the forefront. ESA is the one that's done the best job putting forward the best training. I've taken the level 1 training myself. It's a great program, and we're privileged to have great people involved in helping to write those programs. And I will be the biggest cheerleader there is for small companies, medium companies, and large companies alike to keep this industry going strong. I want it to exist for another 160 years.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it very, very much. Ken, I'm going to come to you, my friend. Tell us a little bit about your background first in the industry, and then I'll ask you my second question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kirk, for your time and all the other candidates here. So my name is Ken Coker. I'm the founder of Force Security Solutions. We are a Washington, D.C. integrator. And I've been in the security business for about 41 years through some different types of security. So I started out working in retail security for the Rouse Corporation. Rouse Corporation owned shopping centers, retail locations. And so I got my start early at 18 years old. and at 21 became a police officer in the Washington, D.C. area. Retired from law enforcement and made my way into the government contracting world. We're in D.C., and that's what a lot of people do. So I worked for a company called SAIC, and that's where I learned about electronic security. So my business unit went to government facilities, and we did risk assessments, and we made recommendations on electronic security. And so I learned a lot about the electronic security business, protecting law enforcement sites, government facilities, mostly in the intelligence and law enforcement, IC community, law enforcement community. And in 2003, I started Force Security Solutions with just me and my wife. And we built this company up over the last 22 years to be one of the boutique integrators in the Washington, D.C. area, protecting government agencies, government contractors, and commercial clients. And I was fortunate enough to sell my company in 2023 to a international Japanese corporation called Konica Minolta. So it's a little different going from a 30-person company to a 50,000-person company, and we are expanding. And so now my role is grown, and I've gone through and learned a lot about the industry, being part of As Is, SIA. I'm on the board of the FAST, the Foundation for the Advancement of Security Talent, trying to help, as Peter said, grow and bring people into the organization. And so I'm looking forward to, and a member of ESA as well, and looking forward to taking what I've learned in my 40 years of law enforcement and security and electronic security to the masses here.
Kirk, it looks like you're still on mute.
I do that on purpose to see if I'm paying attention.
Paying attention.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Oh, no, kidding. So, Ken, you kind of combine question number 1 and number 2, which is great. But is there anything you want to add on what you believe you'd like to bring to ESA board directors?
Absolutely. And I'll be honest with everybody, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I started this company in 2003, not really knowing what I was going to be when I grew up. And so I had mentors. Matt Ladd with the Protection Bureau was one of my mentors. I learned a lot by going to and joining associations like ESA and Security Industry Association and As Is. And my purpose in wanting to run is to give back and to help those that are wanting to do what I did, start from scratch. Guys that are running, I've made every mistake in the book. I've paid a lot of tuition, and I want to give back to this great business of security. And being part of FAST, being on the board of FAST, I realize, as Peter said, that we are in a crisis. As a guy who ran a business here for 22 years, finding good technicians is a challenge. And this business, I tell people all the time, when times are good, it's great. When times are bad, it's even better. And so we are recession proof. And it's a great place to build a career. And I want to bring people into this organization and help them grow and go, hit the journeys and do all the things that I've done, help teach and learn from the things that we've done, all of us here collectively, to get to help everyone in this organization.
Ken, thank you very, very much. And last but not least, our friend Josh Dice. So, Josh, we'd love to know a little bit about you and your business, and then we'll get into what you could bring to ESA. But tell us a little bit about you.
Sure, thanks, Kirk. I feel very short compared to Peter up there, man, with all the credentials he has. So, I'm third generation. So my dad and grandpa started the company in 1977. So I tell people I started running wire when I was 5. And one of my first memories was being put inside this wall. My dad I think it was a hotel, and my dad handed me a cable, and he said, "Hey, walk to that flashlight." And so I'm navigating inside the wall down to who knows where. All I saw was this flashlight, and all I remember is my head got stuck between some water pipes about halfway on that mile-long journey. And being 5 years old, you think you're going to die there, right? So I guess I somehow managed to get out, but that is one of my first memories as a child was running wire. And so I've officially been in the industry for about 26 years. So I came to work for the family business when I was around 19 and started out as a technician, installer, did that for a number of years, transitioned into sales, and then finally transitioned into running the company. So I'm the president today. We have about 45 employees, and we cover about the southern half of Illinois. It really wasn't until probably halfway through my tenure here that we really began to get involved in the industry. My dad and grandpa taught me pretty much all I knew at that point about business and the industry, but we weren't involved in things like ESA. Now we go to DMP events, Residio events, ISC events, and I've been incredibly blessed to have developed really a network of friends and mentors in the industry that I can call on for virtually whatever problem I have. I've been fortunate to I've met Melissa a couple times and met Jeremy a few times, but there's always somebody in the industry that I can call to get help. And so I love the industry. I love the people in it, and my plan is to keep moving forward.
So thanks, Josh. So what, if elected, what do you plan to bring to the board?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I have learned so much just by being a part of different networks and organizations. And one thing that I think we can bring is just a resource to the different companies out there to help them better themselves. And one thing that some of the things that we've learned over the years is how to measure things better. I'm kind of a data junkie, so I like measuring everything, whether it's attrition, growth rate, profit margins, productivity. I'm kind of a nerd about data, but just some of the other things that have made us a better company is how to train our techs better, how to have a better culture, how to hire better, how to negotiate better, what products work, what products don't, how to become a better organized company. I remember years ago, Carl Tannenbaum, he's like, hey, you guys need to have an advisory board. And, we've had an advisory board for the last 15 years that, has really helped balance us out as a family. Because, when you have family businesses, you have family drama. And so, but there have been so many things that we've learned, and not that we have all the answers, but there's somebody that we can point to or put a resource in the hands of other people in the industry to help them be better. So I think just being a resource, and as Melissa was saying, just an advocate for the industry. I'm concerned about the future, whether my kids are involved, and there's always something that is affecting the industry out there, whether it's false alarms or something that there needs to be advocacy for to help protect it. So so those are some of the things that I feel I could bring to the table.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, candidates. This has been really eye-opening. I know all of you. Some of you I know better than others. So this has been really, really good for me. And I think it's going to be really good for ESA members to get to know each one of you better. So as they vote, they are doing it with their eyes wide open. The 2 dates to remember, I'm going to repeat. The ballots will be going out May 12th, and they're going to be sent out by ESA. The ballots come back on June 6th, just so you all know. I make it a point not to see who's ahead, I never look at the ballots till they're over. They are calculated independently of me, and then I go, okay, who won? So I applaud each of you for running. I want to thank you all very, very much for being on this podcast today. And Hannah, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Kirk. Like you mentioned at the top of the episode, we have a few more candidates who are also running that weren't able to join today's scheduled recording. So we're actually going to just cut right here and jump right in. And for those listening and watching, it should be pretty seamless, but we'll be right back.
Welcome back. We are here today and talking to two additional candidates that are running for the ESA Board of Directors. However, the two individuals I'm speaking to today are incumbents. And so they've served on the ESA board previously, and they are going to tell you a little bit about themselves today. So Brandon, why don't we start with you? What I'd like to know is a little bit about your background, and if elected to ESA Board of Directors, what do you bring to the table?
Yeah, thanks, Kirk. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jeremy. We've obviously served on this committee together for a few years now, so it's great to do this together. But a little bit about me, a little background of the company and myself. My family's been in the space just over 20 years. We have a company, Trinity Wiring and Security, here in the Mid-Atlantic. I work here with my dad, my three brothers, and run it as a team. 20-plus-year-old firm. I guess a little bit about me and my involvement on the team here. Started, typical bootstraps background story. Started coming in after school, went to college at night while working here full time. And my dad hasn't fired me yet, which has been a blessing for quite some time. Went back, got my MBA at Georgetown while working here, and it's been an amazing run. We started out on the residential side, and have since been involved in the opening and operations of our commercial business, our federal government business, and then we have a high voltage electrical contracting business as well. So still run it here, still get along, and it's been a real blessing for us. Throughout that time, I've also had the opportunity to kind of spend a little time on some boards, having spent the last 2 years on ESA, having met Jeremy and spent some time together as a result of that. So it's been great. And then prior to that, and still on the board of AIN, which is a little bit more of like a builder-focused organization, have been on that board for several years, and they've been kind enough to listen to some of our opinions and feedback on the group there. So it's been great to have that experience too. Like we were saying, 2 years on the board here, and Merlin and the team have been kind enough to ask me to also contribute some time on the finance committee. So I'm doing that spearheaded by Michael Barnes. It's been great to get some insight from him and how he looks at things. So it's been a real opportunity, a real learning opportunity. And I guess that, Kirk, to your second point, what do I want to accomplish? What have I done here, and what do I want to accomplish in the next round? Looking back on the 20 years and getting prepared for today's discussion, you start from coming in after college, and now you look back 20 years later and married with 2 kids, and it's been an incredible blessing. And I want to leave. I want to make sure that the industry is in a good spot when I hopefully am fortunate enough to work with my kids, as how the industry found us. And so would love to seemingly add a little bit of younger, fresher opinion. And I kind of came in there with the first 2 years to try to do that. But honestly, I now have a perspective to say I have a true appreciation for the work that Merlin, Jillian, Jake, and that entire team do and what they bring to the table. I learned some industry concerns along the way that I took for granted, as somebody else is dealing with that. Somebody else is having to fight that battle for us, and it is ESA, and they do an amazing job with it. So humbly, I would love to ask to just continue to be able to participate in some of those discussions and work with that team, both on the industry-specific issues as well as some of the workforce development issues that they bring on Capitol Hill, which we've been fortunate enough to participate and sponsor along the way. And continue to learn from my fellow board members. Jeremy, I'm not just saying because we're on the call together, but we've learned a tremendous amount from you and the Bates family, and hope to be able to continue to learn from that. Just some of the selfless dedication that you and some of the other board members have. Would love to continue to try to support that initiative in any way I can. So thank you, Kirk.
Thank you, Brandon. Jeremy, I know you're sitting in an airport with a nice background. I do want to point out to our listeners and viewers that there is a logo in the back that says Riverside. That's not the company you're representing. Riverside is the company that we use to help us put on these podcasts. So I just didn't want people to think that you would, like CEO of Riverside, that nobody knows who they are. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Jeremy, and what you're going to do if elected or re-elected to the board of directors.
Thank you, Kurt. Yes, I am not the CEO of Riverside. Sounds like a good gig, though. And Brendan, thank you for those kind words earlier. It's also been a pleasure serving with you on the board. So, Kirk, I've been on the board for a few years now and got recruited to first look at that or consider that opportunity, and it's been a nice honor. Got recruited by John Ladd, who impressed upon me the importance of being involved in the industry. And I've known that for many years. And as I have grown in the industry, I've always felt it was beneficial to give back anytime that I could. So that's one of the reasons that I want to continue serving on the board, is so I continue to give back and share the things that I've learned, and also advocate for the things that I think are important in the industry to help the industry grow. But back to my experience first is I grew up in the industry. I'm second generation, just like Brendan. I only have one brother, and that was tough enough. I don't know how Brendan does it with three brothers and a father, but they seem to be doing very well over at Trinity. But so second generation, I did all kinds of stuff during middle school, high school, and college. But since college, I've got 30 plus years industry experience working at Bait Security. We most recently, I've done pretty much every single position you can think of, including monitor alarms. We actually had a central station back in the day before we went third party. But most recently, I've been serving as president of our company, and until we recently sold to Pipe Arthur. We built our company up from one small company in Lexington, Kentucky, with one office to where we were over 5 offices and a little over 100 employees, and built ourselves up to number 32, highest rank we ever had in the SD in the country. So it's a little bit about what I've done. I've also served on the Kentucky Association as president there, working with the boards in Kentucky. So things that I would like to continue doing with the board is one thing that's really becoming more important to me, as I've been working on a recent committee with Merlin and some others, is the education and training aspect of ESA and what we can bring to the table. We have a good program in place right now, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people will join, is the education and training. But I think there's more that can be done here. We have so many good, strong leaders in our industry. 3 of us are on this board, right, or on this call, this podcast right now. But the others that you've interviewed and other volunteers throughout the industry that we can really leverage on, that if I was a young man coming in today, I could see really wanting to listen to these industry leaders and wanting to do anything and everything I could to learn just a little bit of what they have to offer me as a person brand new in my career. So that's one of the things. We have some great ideas there. And if reelected, I intend to still stay focused on helping grow our education and training program.
Great. Well, listen, thank you very much, Brandon and Jeremy. I wish you all great luck, and we look forward to having the ballots go out again May 12th. They are back, needed to be back by June 6th at 2 p.m. Central Time. And at that time, we'll tally the ballots. So thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming on the podcast today. Thank you for listeners who tuned in. Make sure to subscribe. We're on all podcasting platforms. The video version of these episodes are available on ESA's YouTube. And if you're curious about how ESA membership can power your business, if you're not already a member, please visit our website at www.esaweb.org and schedule a discovery call with our awesome team over there. Have a great day, Security Pros.